Grant, I was like, I said that fast. I was like, oh no.
Grant was at my house sick, and I was picking up paper. And Lindsay said, well, I guess I could stay home with Tom. Or, I mean, I was gonna wear their mom watching, then.
He also watched it, I said, just tell him she was there.
Oh, you do?
You get sticky nose too?
Yes. She stuck one over by the sink that just says "Have a good day." She's a sweet girl.
Plus, he was 16, so usually like the second kid that won it right off the bat. He said,
There's some regular powdered creamer in the same bowl that has the sugar and stuff in there too, Trent, if you want it.
it's pretty nerve-wracking. He was like, man, I'll speak for the second match.
In here?
And it was 6-7 versus 8, let's say, or whatever. He's like, how does he move? That's awesome.
Oh.
Right, all of them. Crazy.
Just get rain down here.
Yes.
About 10 sprinkles on the way
Exactly, that's
down.
about it, and a pound of wind.
There was some hail over town.
Was
Up
there?
by the town, yeah, there's some hail.
Did that tree that fell on August, did that catch fire? I thought it was black on the other
No, it's
side.
been hanging up there dead for a while. I happened to drive by and see it beating on the power line, so I called the 1200 locust right around the Roberts place.
Between Rodix and,
Johnson's.
so it's gonna hang there until it falls too.
They came up and got it.
Did they take all the way out now?
Not the whole tree, they got everything that was busted out of it. They brought their big truck in to
Well,
see.
that's when I went around you.
Yep. That was their wood truck, they brought another one.
Oh, they did? Good, because, you know,
What's the back?
I did.
oh,
You're over?
What'd you say?
712.
everybody write their times down.
I'm thinking your, on 6 road plan, at least good.
I was thinking the same thing.
All right.
Layla threw her shoes on. She's like, I'm going to hang out with the girls. I was like, I don't think you understand what this is. You're not coming with me.
It is 6 p.m. Village of Sutherland, Lincoln County, Sutherland, Nebraska, Board of Trustees, regular meeting, February 25th, 2026. Roll call, please.
Scott Meyer,
Here.
Kim Baxter,
Here,
Alicia Patrick,
Here.
Derek Dempsey,
Here.
Justin Nelms.
Here.
Quorum is established.
Recite the pledge of allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Notification of the open meeting law poster is on the west wall. Proper procedure for guests. If you have a question or comment, raise your hand. We'll call upon you and take it from there. We'll open up with, the board will hear comments at this time. All comments need to be directed to the chair. There's a 5-minute time limit. There will be no discussion by the board on comments by the public that are not on the agenda. Is there any public comment at this time? Jim?
Jim Dickerson, East Locust. As I was coming in today, just a few minutes ago, the truck went by. I think you should have heard it in here.
Oh, we heard it.
Okay, is that still in effect, the, ban on using the brakes in the city limit by the city?
Yeah, as far
I
as I
believe
know,
it's
they
still in
have.
our
Jake Briggs?
Jake brakes, yes.
Unfortunately, Jim, excuse me, can I comment or not?
Really shouldn't discuss.
Yeah, I understand that, but I'm.
So we can
curious.
forward that to our law enforcement and have them monitor and look for that as well?
Cause I hear about it every day,
Okay.
and I'm sure the rest of you have too, maybe you're getting used to it by now.
No, without having a discussion on it, we can forward it to law enforcement.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on. We have an agenda presented to us. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Motion Dempsey, second Nelms.
Alicia Patrick,
Yes.
Derek Dempsey,
Yes.
Kim Backer, Scott Meyer.
Yes.
Who am I missing? Justin Nelms.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Read and approve minutes are provided on, it's from February 11th, 2026, regular meeting. Does anybody have any additions or corrections?
Motion to approve.
Motion Backer,
Second.
second Patrick.
Kim Backer,
Yes.
Justin Nelms,
Yes.
Scott Meyer,
Yes.
Derek Dempsey,
Yes.
Alicia Patrick.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Our sheriff's report is provided on page 10. January of 26, we've had 64 calls for service, 2 total traffic, 0 village code violations, 129 village hours. Last month to date, hours were 372.75. Year to date, 501.75, and our yearly contract of 1,200 hours. One thing we had it brought up in the opening statement, we will forward on to the sheriff's office to start looking at the semi-trucks using the Jake brakes. If we can add that when we report to them.
Yep.
Anything else on the sheriff's report? Committee reports.
The only committee that would have had a meeting this month is Planning Commission. We would not have a quorum. It has been rescheduled for next Monday.
Move on, unfinished business. Property on Walnut Street. Nothing to report yet.
Is there a time frame on that?
Not a time frame.
What, we're waiting still on the,
We're waiting on
survey.
the process, yes.
Okay, that's.
Large animal permit at 730 North County Road.
Nothing on that.
Nothing to report. 4th of July celebration of 250 years.
Their committee does not have a meeting. Haley called around. She couldn't get anybody to do a special meeting, so.
I know we've discussed it a little bit on possibly having the fireworks display as part of that celebration. I don't know where the board's stance is on it.
So my stance, I'll start,
Yes, please.
my stance is, to not do it for a couple of reasons. One, I feel like it should have to go out to bid to people to bid doing the fireworks itself, like, you know, the companies that do it. Who's gonna pay for that? Who's gonna pay for all of the others, you know, if the fire has to be there? I also think that, I was thinking about it a lot, and with Sutherland, having so many people do so many fireworks all year, every Sutherland, the 4th of July, there's tons of fireworks. That, one, do we really wanna incur that expense? I just think that, like, for the price, and I don't know what the price is, but even if it's $10,000 to $30,000, I kinda think that money could be permanent versus just like thrown in the air with, as much as we have people around town doing it. That's my stance on it. I know it's a big celebration, but I just think the money could be spent better elsewhere.
Anybody else?
My issue is that last year, it was absolutely gorgeous just sitting on the porch watching fireworks. And people in Lucas said it was hard to get in a rhythm with trying to set something off, because they were watching everybody else set off theirs. And if we did something like that, I'm with Alicia.
Anybody else? Trent?
Been to Cyber Career Times, 824 First Street, Sutherland. I have been receiving reports, and you guys may have watched the county commission meeting Monday, that they're talking about a number of things that are happening. I got a release on some stuff, and basically there are a lot of competing things that are going to be happening on July 4th in Lincoln County. Free museum stuff, all kinds of things. Everybody's trying in their own little way, their own territory, whatever we do, just gotta get it out there real quick. But I'm excited that people are trying, and, you know, fireworks aren't for everybody. I enjoy them, but I don't have to have them. Hershey will have some. And most of Sutherland drives to Hershey for their fireworks. But anyway, I would love to see it. I would love to see it paid for by Keno, if that's legal. I think it is. It would bring some organization to the town, and it would have everybody on the same page. That's always a challenge with so many people doing so many things. They're only doing those because there isn't a unified effort. So that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Anybody else from the board? I think it was a great idea. It was valid of an honest discussion like we've had on it. I think probably timing wise, we probably got the ball rolling too late to try to do anything this year to make it work out. You make some good points as well on the funding of it, things like that. So that's, I guess, where I stand on it. So I guess we either need to determine if we want to continue this, leave it on the agenda, or remove it from the agenda. So the proper way to do that would be to call for a motion. And if motion fails, then we'll move it from the agenda. So I'd entertain a motion to proceed with the 4th of July celebration. Motion, Justin Nelms.
To proceed with the.
Oh, no.
Never mind.
Nope.
I apologize.
You can.
No, I don't.
And
I'm in full grants appeal for this all.
we can vote it down then.
Right, right.
Yeah, if you wanna do that and open for discussion, I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion, Justin Nelms, second, Kim Backer. Any other discussion on this? Let's go ahead and vote on it.
Felicia Patrick,
No.
Derek Dempsey,
No.
Kim Becker,
No.
Scott Meyer,
No.
Justin Nelms.
No.
Motion
Remove
fails.
that from the agenda. Thank you, guys. Unpaid invoices.
Larry, I think you,
Is there?
I have a
There's-
special assessment on the business that's
okay.
my piece, I don't know about the other ones out there.
And I did hear back from the collections engineer North Platte. I am going to be sending them, they just needed it by the end of the week, a report on what we have. Still have not heard anything back from the one in, I want to say Signier, somewhere that way, that had previously been used by the village to determine if there were any that were still outstanding that could be collected on. I get no response from them, but we will move forward with the ones that we currently have.
Very good. The Robert proposal discussion and adjustments.
I know that was held over, so Casey could get with Tom if possible and look into pricing on different rest areas. So we'll let Casey give the report on that.
I've been speaking to Tom on it, And I have reached out to a couple of companies with the pods that are fully constructed, set on site. The first one that reached back to me, he said it was $150,000 to get it here, another $150,000 to set it up. The second one I looked at, it was a real good deal until you started looking at this, all the deals on it, and the wind load on it was 150 miles an hour for 3 seconds, so that ruled that out. So I reached out to Tom. He brought me some blueprints of the one that they did in Grant, which looks like a good plan, which I think we could do a block building, reinforced with concrete through the block, and go that route.
Are ICFs an option, Tom, if you go with the 8-inch wall to meet the 200 plus?
Yes, it is, yes, sir.
I don't know, I would assume this needs to be ADA compliant on
Yes.
bathrooms.
Yes, it absolutely.
So that changes the dimensions of the bathrooms, minimum of 7 foot by 7 foot, if I remember right?
I don't think it's 5 by 5, but minimum on the inside, you got the toilet, but, turnaround and all that stuff has to comply, all the doors. Anything that's in there has to be ADA compliant. So a sink has to be insulated underneath, so see that people don't burn themselves on it. Well, I guess if we don't have water heater, we don't have to worry about that, but they still don't want to bang their legs against them, because they're not aware of it, so. Latches, door knobs, all that stuff, that's it.
And I think we all come to the conclusion this is gonna be called a storm shelter / bathroom. Correct? Cause otherwise, if we start trying to call it a tornado shelter, and Tom can fill you in on that, there is a lot of stringent federal regulations we gotta meet.
Your door alone on the tornado shelter, I did some research, it has to open 2 directions, has to swing and also fall forward with certain size bolts and thickness. The storm shelter, you don't have those restrictions on it.
Can you clarify too, just, so it's in the minutes, it will not be heated, correct?
Correct.
Correct, so in the winter,
It will be a seasonal bathroom. In the winter time, the doors will be locked. It'll be just like Cody Park and all the other local towns around that has restrooms. Seasonal in summertime, when it starts getting cold, they will be drained, they will be locked.
In summertime, will be open 24/7?
Yes.
For storm shelter needs, don't you want it to be able to be open to just drain everything for the winter
In
time?
the winter time, what's the chance of having a tornado or hail or something that we're gonna need it for a storm shelter?
Yeah, well, when do you start winter and when do you end winter?
Well, this year we probably could've went clear to first
I
of the year, you
understand,
know?
but,
Yes.
you know, when you shut the water off for
It probably, I'm
irrigation
gonna
and
say,
so forth.
about the same time we blow the sprinklers up. We
Yeah,
try to keep the sprinklers long as we can,
yeah.
and that's probably when the same time we would do the bathrooms. So, in October,
Yeah.
just depends on the weather.
So it would be closed for 5 months roughly.
4 months, 5 months, yes.
and so who, cleaning it, what does that look like?
If we do a concrete structure or block structure, it will be just where we can go in, hose it down to a center drain, and that's pretty much be once a week.
Do we want to, toss this ball into Tom and Casey's court and have them get a rough idea of layout, dimensionally what we need for the 2 bathrooms, and to have storm shelter in there, and try to figure out rough estimates before we send it out to bid?
I thought we did that last,
I do have a layout in here if
Okay,
somebody wants
so
to
we
look
have-
at it.
That's already been directed.
we did that last time, to move forward with Tom and Casey.
So I guess my question is, so we got $100,000 from the grant. Is it contingent that it be used this year, or, I mean, we have a lot of big projects and money going out, so where's the makeup money Right,
So-
like, but, I mean, it seems like until you know where more money's coming from, why put it out for bid? I mean, unless you are getting the bid to find out how much it would
Yes,
cost, and then
exactly.
determining
Yes.
where you're getting.
That's what I would assume they
But
were doing.
I guess I'm kind of wondering,
Cause
I
there
mean,
was
we
no
have some really
construction
big,
guidelines on it or starting and stop points. When we were ready for the grant to be funded, we went to them and they funded the grant to pay for the project. So I would imagine with that, if we have concrete numbers with our bids, that it's gonna cost $94,000, we could submit that to the people overseeing that and have that payment to proceed with. It would be my guess.
okay.
Milo?
For the overage, one thing you might consider doing is utilizing some of the 1% sales tax. That would be a public relations feather in your cap, I think, to put it toward the overage of that, project. Suggestion.
Very much so.
Mhm.
Okay, is there any other discussion on that?
I guess one thing we talked about earlier, and it hasn't been brought up tonight, if and when we add security cameras, I mean, there's room like a utility closet or something.
Yes. And there'll be electric there, so.
Very good, so it's.
And I guess the location of this will probably be in the southeast corner of the park, cause that way we don't have to string utilities a long ways to get there. To try to cut down on the cost of putting utilities in.
Sewage.
It would be closer to the park, the playground equipment.
Yes, the street will be right there.
Cause your buried utilities, the water and sewer are down on that south end of the park, so it'll be shorter tie-ins.
So you'd still have the big open area,
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
so
so everybody knows
chopping
that
it up.
it'll be down towards, like Tim said, down towards the playground.
So there's a porta potty that sits there
There
typically
now,
right in
yes.
that area.
Mhm.
Alright, so I suppose keep working on that, Casey.
Okay.
Request for proposal discussion, action on that, I don't know that that's to the point yet to go along with that. Planning commission, permit fees, and field permits.
I know, we got Rory the, information on that, this evening, so that's, I think, just on hold until planning commission can meet and answer a few more things for him.
Okay. So leave that on there. Sewer lagoon.
Getting ready, Tom Werblow, they're getting ready to start on Monday, moving dirt, and they are gonna go pretty fast, I think, so they wanna get in and get out if they can, so. We'll see how they do. If it quits raining.
Don't say that.
Okay. Tori said it will, so it's done.
And also on that, Tom's about got the other to go out for bid for the pumps and the control panel and stuff.
Probably the second meeting in March.
Very good. We had questions by Frank Fleece on discussion on accounts.
Put that on hold until since they were at this meeting, this
Okay.
question.
That's fine. Yep, so we will move into new business, compost site, electrical, and shelter discussion. We reached out to Tori just to get a rough idea on trenching some underground power up there. And then Casey reached out to NPPD as well on 2 options for setting poles. And those are provided. Casey, you wanna go with this?
Yeah, the first map you see of the MPPD, that is running power from across the road over to our fence line of our property. And then the estimate from Tori to go from Crenshaw from there up to the building, which MPPD was 14,084.26, and Tori's bid come in at 9,990.21 with, without getting any rock trenching up there, otherwise the cost would be higher. The second proposal that you see from MPPD is from running poles across the road, all the way up the fence line and across to the shed.
Basically, NPPD would provide all that material, labor, all the way to our meter socket
Yes.
as part.
And that price was $22,643.19.
So, quick question. How come you can't put the shed closer to where the gate opening is?
We
What's
can, but then you won't be able to see what's going on up over the hill.
But, I mean, wouldn't it be more cost effective to put it
We,
right there?
we looked at that, Scott and I went and looked at that, and we both felt that it would be better up where the carport is, where we put cameras, see the whole area instead of just down by the gate. Cause there's that hill you go up,
Yeah.
well, sitting down below, you can't see up over that hill, what's going on.
Cause we wouldn't have anything up there, so you could get a camera view very good of where the tree piles are and the grass and all of that, was the one concern.
But why do you, like, if you're checking people in, at the gate, you see what they're taking in, so I guess why do you need?
It's
When the
not,
dumpster's not there,
when the dumpster's
when it's
not,
wide
that's
open,
when it's issues.
then we still have something to police it somewhat when we don't have an attendant there.
Them people are pretty good hiding stuff underneath the piles.
But yeah, we could, I mean, that's an option to move it down closer than you would be the 14,000 and put your deal down there, and we would just know more than likely we wouldn't see anything that took place up on top of the hill because of the elevation change.
So you're just using it, for that, you're just using it as a place to attach your cameras to?
No, there would be, so we talked a long time ago about having a shed or a container up there
Right.
for the compost site attendant to work out of.
Right.
And then the cameras would be housed, or the camera unit would be housed in there with the cameras that could see the property. Otherwise, if you put it down low, you'd still have your electricity and camera system in there, but your cameras may not see all the way up across the That's a pretty good elevation change there. Cause yeah, when we have an attendant there checking people in and out, absolutely, I think that would work just fine down there. It'd just be the times we don't have an attendant when it's wide open. To know who, or a chance to know who was dumping illegally or misusing the area.
And my experience is, go ahead.
Motto?
What about, while you're installing electricity to the shed, wherever you're putting it? What about having extra cameras down at the entrance site, so you have real good view of license plates and all that type of stuff?
And that could be, I suppose that could be an option. I mean, you're gonna have a
I
pole
mean,
line
you're-
across there.
Yeah, you're gonna be stringing wire anyway, or you're gonna be trenching the wire, or whatever you do.
The hard part with like the cameras, Ethernet connection can only reach 336 feet. So you're distance limited on that, but there's other options for something like that. You know, the camera guys would know a lot more on their limitations of the system. Tori, you have a question?
Yeah, I could add to that. If you went with the meter down at the road, like there is circuits available in that meter socket I proposed, where you could put another breaker down there to power up something so the Ethernet cable wouldn't have to necessarily run, but so you would actually have power at the road too, just so you know.
Okay.
So you could have a powered one and then radio in between them if that's an option.
Okay, so if we set the transformer or the meter socket down at the property line,
Yes,
you could have an electrical outlet down there with access to it, plus have it trenched up to the building.
yeah, that's just, I thought, an option. And then, excuse me, Tori Copeland, 612 Liberty Drive. One thing you might consider if they follow that fence line up there is taking electrical from the fence line underground to the shed. That wasn't really proposed there because have an overhead line, which is 7,000 volts through there, which we've had people dumping up there with large dump trucks, semi-dump trucks. The people came in to grind it. Just something to think about, having an overhead line running from that south fence line north to the building, unless you put the building over there and the road maybe to look over. I mean, just do the option, but be careful on the overhead. If they do take it up there, because if it can be got into by somebody, it would be, and it could be the employees, but you know how you have a lot of renegade tree trimmers around here, that aren't real careful and get you in trouble anyway, so just maybe be cautious of that, and, and it looks like it could be a wash almost electrically to have them take it up there, and then they would own the line, be kind of shooting myself in the foot by saying that, but I would really consider if they could bring it up there for about the same cost, you might be better off. And then, or having that option coming from the south line and then taking a small distance over to the north if you need it. We could figure that. But then you would not have an outlet down at the road.
No, your outlet would be clear up.
Clear up there, so, but you could pound a camera at that driveway coming up. And just be cautious also, because we dealt with it when I was on the board. If you have a camera, say only at the gate, and it has 4 people going in, and you find a bunch of trash up there, there's not a jury or a judge in the world, and he's shaking that will convict any of them on that. We had license plates dead to the right with a stolen gas card, and they said, a little iffy. So you're not gonna get anything on having a, down there. You're gonna have to have that camera seeing what's doing, and then.
Yeah.
So, if you have any more questions, let me know.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you, Tori.
Any other thoughts on this?
What would be the issue of putting a shed on the north side of the drive going up there, kind of back towards the tower? Yeah, kind of where the porta potty is already, bring it up that way. Then we wouldn't have the issue with Tory, right? Tory, you wouldn't be pulling those trucks underneath the electrical line.
Yeah, I'm sure MPD could set another pole over there closer to the cell tower service side and tread straight north, or excuse me, straight west there, and then you could curve over. Now, we wouldn't be able to dig across that asphalt milling driveway.
Yeah.
I mean, we wouldn't wanna do that anyway, but that could be a possibility too.
But that, I'm just trying to think of the elevations, and if we put it up there on that hill, that's kind of higher than, I don't know.
Well, about where we got it set now, you can see down the bottom, over through the carport, you can see everything. And it's about the flattest place.
So as we have time to think on this, just so everybody knows, we will open up a public hearing at 6:30, so we'll come back and revisit this. Maybe it's something we don't wanna have electricity up there, I don't know. Personnel safety, if somebody's
I
working
like
up
the
there.
electricity for the cameras and possibly a security light type thing up there. But I am worried about the trucks and the loaders and stuff going underneath the lights without trenching it to a building. And the location of the building.
Okay, so we'll come back to this. It is, let me begin this one with this. I can leave it open.
What, yeah, you can leave it open, basically just open the.
Public hearing. So it is 6:30 PM, Village of Sutherland, Lincoln County, Sutherland, Nebraska, Board of Trustees, public hearing regarding the 1 and 6 year road plan, February 25th, 2026, 6:30 PM. Public hearing is open. Presentation of the 1 and 6 year road plan.
Tom Werblow at TC Engineering. We have a road plan, and I think everybody's got a copy that I'm looking around and looking and seeing. You get about $18,000 a month from the state, roughly. So to keep getting that, we have this hearing. Bonnie keeps track of the finances, and then we have a lane mile report we do turn in also that describes the number of roads and the surfacing and the length of them and the width of them for the whole community. They use all that to determine, that and your population helps determine how much money you get per month for a highway allocation money. Second page shows the map that shows things that have been proposed. I can walk through them pretty quick. your municipal number is M 573, that's that number's on there. So then we have, project, 76, which is the intersection of Walnut and North County Road. That's been on the plan for a while. And also Poplar, Street, to improve that street as well, curb got to help, try to help the drainage. Then down Pine Street, that's something we discussed for some time, trying to help out the drainage at Walnut by the school intersection. And then finally, the job that we bid this past year on Cobbler and Cherrywood, we're putting millings down, compacting those, removing the gravel, and then using that as a road surface. So each one of those projects has a Form 7 that describes it a little bit more. You can certainly look at that, and I won't go through every one of those, but you kind of go towards the back. It shows our plan for the 1 year, which I show the project on Walnut, and then we also have crack sealing that we typically do. Don't show on the phone on that one. I don't think I did. I show on the phone. No, it's not. Yeah, I did show on the code. On the 1 year plan, I showed on the code because we're already doing the one on up on the hill. So, and then the next page is all the jobs together, which is all the projects I just described. And then the last page shows previous year, which is maintenance of crack sealing was done the previous year. So that's kind of the plan, pretty similar to what we've done in the past. But if there's any comment from either the board or the public, this is the time to discuss it, because it is a public hearing for that purpose.
So one thing is, just to clarify, Tom, we already had a full roll call. All members were present, and our notification of the open meeting law poster was already opened and discussed, just so everybody for clarity.
Okay, thank you. So I don't know if anybody has a question or attribute.
Violet.
I've got a question on the retention pond. Will that go to groundwater?
No, it has, the intent on that is to have it, basically moving the pool of water from by the school out to that retention pond, and then it has an outlet, go into the ditch, and it goes on east, along the north side of the highway, crosses under the highway, and goes all the way, and eventually gets to the river, so it has a dam.
So it won't be groundwater, it'll just be the
No,
depth of
no,
the, of the
groundwater,
bit on the east,
good question, no,
on the east side.
no, we don't want any groundwater in there, no, that'd be a mosquito pit.
On the Walnut and North County Road,
The one intersection right in the middle of your front yard.
oh, that was being asked for sale. It just says repairs, intersection repair.
It's the, I think, kind of concrete, that intersection. It was on the 106 year plan when I started.
Okay.
I don't know when, 25 years ago, whatever it is. I mean, we've been carried it every year. But the intent was to, I think, to concrete that intersection and try to take some lumps out of it.
I see.
That was the idea.
So has there been anything added to the 1 6 year road plan?
Yes, we've had a number of projects. Actually, if you look at the number 103, there's been 103 different things that have been brought up over the years of the different projects that have been done. I eliminate those, yeah, eliminate those as we go along, so, good question.
So like with, when the sidewalk went in
Mhm.
from Poplar to West County Road,
Okay,
was that part of the,
actually, it could have been, it didn't have to be.
Okay.
Sidewalks are sort of, auxiliary piece to the street. The main emphasis is the street.
okay,
So they show sidewalks on this plan, and show crack sealing, they don't show crack sealing, but show hammer code. And it's, the idea is that you're improving the streets and the appurtenances to the street. So sidewalks would be part of that. Now, where it's in a kind of an isolated different area like that, it's a little bit different. I don't know, but I guess I'm not aware that there was a sidewalk put in,
okay.
Poplar over West County Road.
That,
sidewalk to the swimming pool.
Oh, okay, yeah, no, that in the park would not be included, and parking lots are not included, alleys are not included. So, like this parking lot here would not be included, right, that's why.
Well, sidewalks to me, really lacking, especially around the school, you know, and going east.
Yeah.
You know, I think there's more sidewalks going west from the school.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, but that's what you guys said.
I see. That's not something that's addressed at the,
Well, it can be. You raise the issue, and that's the purpose of the public hearing, is to raise those kind of issues. I know Tori's got an issue too, and wants to talk about, so it's, you know, it's a good question. I'm sorry, Don.
Tori, you have a question?
yeah, no, but,
Okay.
you guys are getting just shy of $220,000 a year, basically. I think you need to make a conscious decision to spend that money on the maintenance of the roads, because, and that shouldn't be getting meddled back into wages and equipment. It can pay for wages, it can buy equipment, anything that does to the road, it can buy a new snowplow and all that. But I think we're dropping the ball on the maintenance. We did an intersection over there by the Lutheran church, a quarter of it here, and that was it. And then now past year, just north of the school, they did a section where that was not properly compacted in 1984, when they redid the R82 or whatever it was, miling all the water lines around. We haven't replaced any curb and gutter that I've seen that we used to. You gotta nibble away at this, because this is not getting cheaper, kicking it down the can. Next year will not be cheaper. Every year it's the cheapest it's ever gonna be. I mean, and the construction prices have just gone nuts. I thought the road prices in 2000 were ridiculous for overlay, and heck, that was cheap money. Should have done them all, you know. But I think we're dropping the ball on the maintenance. There is not a lot of street maintenance that is going on. There is concrete broken from here to hell won't have it around the schools and around downtown. We can't do it all. We could triple the road budget tomorrow and still not do everything perfectly. But there's broken curb and gutter that's been there for 10 years with a chunk of concrete laying there. I mean, we had Jackson come in, we've had other people, just little nibbles at a time. We need to do a conscious effort to do this, and not necessarily some of these big projects but I think that money needs to be spent on the maintenance. And I don't know, did we spend 200-some thousand last year on street maintenance?
I don't know.
And that would be good to have at these public hearings also, what we actually spent on street maintenance. And see if we're convoluting the wages and the pickups and the plows and the fuel, which is all legal. But when the state gives you that money, it's easy to push that aside and say, we are going to spend $250,000 on street maintenance or overlays or something every year. Every penny of that should be spent on that and not on something else. And I don't think we spent $200,000 on street maintenance last year. And then, you know, I know it's gone up every year. I don't think we spent $200,000 the year before. I don't think we spent $180,000 the year before. There has not been a lot of maintenance going on. Yes, there's some crack sealing. I think it was absolute waste of money to crack seal the concrete, because it's broken up. It can't get any worse. But I think the crack sealing on the asphalt streets is highly important. We found out I didn't buy into that. I did once we saw what it did at keeping the base dry. When we went and cored them and stuff, we had a lot of wet road bases around, even on Hillview, which is pretty good. But we found it was wet underneath there. After we started crack sealing, it didn't. And you also got a lot of rough asphalt streets coming in. There's not potholes really, but if you notice, if you drive them, they're getting rougher. So there's going to have to be, in the armor coating, we did that a conscious effort, because we built up the base. We probably have 2 or 3 inches in some places where we chip sealed, armor coated, whatever you want to call it. That will take care of that. Maintenance. South Street's getting pretty rough. No potholes yet, but there will be, because those dips are going to start holding water. I noticed Liberty and Linden. I noticed the short street going down West Park. Yes, there's divots that I don't think that got crack sealed when it should have, because where the counting starts and the hammerhead gets better. I noticed another street, the short street, where Mike Stewart used to live, where Randy Yoakum.
Liberty Street. Liberty goes north and south.
Yeah, Liberty all the way to that dead end. Where so that I was just driving on that the other day. That is needing some attention. I drive every street in this town, not to look at the streets, but I'm very observant, just like on the county roads. But I think we need to spend more money on maintenance and see where that money's going. That $200,000, let's just call it. Where is that? I know we fixed a little bit of the streets where they dug up the water lines, but that really can't be considered street maintenance. That was repairs of damage by the infrastructure underneath, so.
And that would have been billed back to the streets, that was all on that water line project.
Okay,
Yes,
so
that
now-
was completely separate.
Right,
So-
when that happens, it made it nice, because there were some broken up spots, great. But that intersection with the Lutheran Church, I'll hit it again, the other three coming up is terrible. There's an intersection, where did I see the other day? I should have written it down, but I didn't even know this word was here tonight, I was here for something else. I appreciate the milling down of the one on Pine Street and Liberty, I noticed that, that's great, and a couple other spots, but I think we're missing the ball on maintenance, because we can't afford to redo, like the county uses 2 inches overlay as their maintenance, instead of taking care of crack sealing and that, and armor coating. I think we used to do an armor coating system, we get them in every 2 or 3 years, we just kept rotating around, we have not done, when's the last time we did an armor coat? Tom?
It's been probably 4 years, I suppose.
3 years, I think.
3 years.
So, I mean, it's easy to get out of the habit, when you make it part of the habit, we are going to do, I mean, at my day, I think it was $50,000, that got a lot done. We could do half the town with 50,000, and then it started, well, 50,000 was a third. You know, if you just keep rotating it around, so I think we need to concentrate on the maintenance and see where that money is going and spend every single penny the state is allotting to us in the maintenance, not on anything but, and then the people see that too, they say, hey, we're spending $200,000, we're spending every penny the state is giving us, what else do you know? So,
So
thank
Tori,
you.
when you were on the board.
Yes,
Do you remember what roads that you guys spent your maintenance money on to
every
fix?
one of them, every one of the
Well-
asphalt streets in this town was armor coated probably, in my 10.5 years, 3 times.
I'd say, yeah.
That's
Every
what-
one.
and-
Every asphalt street was crack sealed almost every year. We even crack sealed before we armor coated. And then when we had the overlay projects on Prairie Trace, North County Road, South Street, West County Road, Park Road, we crack sealed before we overlaid. Because the engineer said, hey, and I kind of thought, yep, I figured that out. That makes a big difference. Believe it or not, if you think that's wasting that tar underneath that asphalt, keeps it, it's called radiate,
Yeah, keeps them radiating.
radiating up. So yeah, every asphalt street has been armor coated, at least 3, maybe more. Every one crack sealed at least probably 10 years.
You allowed $50,000 out of the 220.
We didn't get 220. We were, when I first started, we were getting like 80. But we spent every penny, and we did not include it on equipment purchases or any of that business. Yeah, we spent every, and just figured out the worst ones first, and then we just kind of did this block, because the people who were, and we had some bad experiences with the armor coaters too, that took us to the cleaners a couple times, didn't get what we paid for. Rory wouldn't let us sue them, figured we wouldn't win. But then we started doing a block, we're doing this, because they like to do an area, and then we do this area, and then do this area.
One thing I wanna say too, and for everybody's sake, we do use this money in the budget, and it is used for salaries, and the things you mentioned, street lighting, et cetera. If you spent all this money on streets, you know where the money has to come from for those other things.
Understood, but
So-
when we did that, when we was on there, we spent that
Yeah.
80,000, 100, I think maybe when I left, 130,000 maybe was the max. You know, that was 2002, I think, it's been a long time. But we spent every penny, if not more. I realized the wages had to come out of that, but now we've reverted back into paying wages, those wages and stuff, because we as employees are not putting that much labor into the streets, especially like this year. I mean, plow time, you know, whatever.
We didn't have to
Yeah,
get out.
which is good, okay, now there's been some years, the road graders, and yes, so, I think it's all gonna come out of one, but if you can, it's all gonna eventually get paid. But if you can consciously spend that $200,000 plus on that and make a difference, but, I mean, you could start on that curb and gutter tomorrow. Or having somebody come in and like, hey, we got this many sections on this street, need to replace anything that's chunked off, broken off, and all that stuff. So I've taken enough of your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Tori. Mylan.
I want to ask back on the Walnut North County Road intersection. You're saying you're going to concrete that intersection. Are you also going to change your grade
Yeah.
coming from Walnut up
Yeah.
to that intersection?
That would be the goal, yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly right. It's kind of a tricky intersection, because if you
Right.
watch the north side, it's got a fairly shallow ditch. If you drop that down, you're asking for the water to come right down,
Oh,
where
yeah.
we already have a problem.
No, you
So-
want to keep the road out there
Yeah.
where it is.
Yeah.
Armor coating this year, what's your thought on that, Tom?
Well, Casey and I had talked about it. We were sitting on the fence, I guess, earlier. We talked about armor coating, if we should recommend it or not. You know, I know you have things that you're spending money on, which we spent money upon Cherrywood now, so I think that, you know, I'm always for anything like that, because it extends the life of your streets. The thing that you have done, which we are all aware of, is we spent a lot of money on crack sealing, which is, I think, probably one of the best investments we can make, is to crack seal. I understand Tori's point, and he and I have discussed many things, but I think if you have a street you can't get to fix, then crack sealing is an option, because it at least keeps it from getting worse, okay? So I don't, you know, I understand that there's a lot of, I mean, you just have to sit in a meeting and listen, and there's a lot of places you can spend your money in a big hurry. So I understand why the money is spent like it is, and I also understand why Tory makes a statement. He was very conscientious to push armor coat every year when he was here. But that's why the streets have been so good, and we've been able to, and we've talked about, you've talked about it with us too, Scott, that, you know, and Kim, I mean, we've talked about the fact that the streets, because of that effort, the streets were in good shape. And so we were able to avoid having armor coat as much. But
Which I fully understand Tori's point on that. We've probably been away from that at this point too long. Maybe it's something we should consider doing, getting back into that rotation. I know it takes a lot of money to do it, but if it prolongs what we have, but also you look at like Pine Street, where the tracks, your tire, it's divoted out, we about to grind that all down. To rework it. So where do you start, where do you stop at?
That's right.
What I'm thinking, if we armor coat, we're just putting another Band-Aid on a blister.
Right.
So we need to mill it down and start over.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's what Tori was referring to too, and Scott, that to mill that off, to bring it, we used to call mill and fill, mill off a certain amount and then lay it back in and pack it in, and you have a nice smooth street again, and it's got the crown it should have.
And just because this is the 1 in 6 year program doesn't mean that we can't take a street and do that with.
Oh, yeah, you can do anything you want. That's why we're having a public hearing. And let me emphasize too, none of this is mandatory. This is not you can change it anytime you
I
want to.
can remember, Tom, I think it was 4 or 5 years ago that you said, maybe not that long ago, you said that you threw everything out because we hadn't done anything for the last 20 years.
I took a lot of stuff out
You
of
took
there.
everything out because nothing had been done for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
And we started putting projects on here that definitely needed done, like put a water line out to,
Right,
you know, because if we put curb and gutter on some of these other streets, that's just gonna.
So how would you go about, if I can?
Yes, Bob.
Addressing North County Road on how narrow it is?
Well, the first thing, we've looked at North County Road many times, so let me assure you that. If the main part of the road that we've looked at is from Pioneer Trace over to Walnut, because that's where a lot of houses sit on that. The ditches are fairly deep on the north side. One of the issues we have is water coming down that hill, and we're trying to keep it in that ditch. The culverts taken to the east and then on out are kind of missized, but to change those would take a lot of money. When Tori was around, we looked at trying to get underneath Prairie Trace. There was a gas line in the way. Gas company, God bless them, just don't want to. They have you kind of over the barrel, which gives me a chance to preach a little. Don't ever sign a gas agreement or an electric agreement unless you look at it really close, because right now the gas company's got you over a barrel. They're in your right of way, but if you want to go by them, you got to pay them to move it. You have to pay them to move their stuff. That should not be. They should have to get out of your way, not you have to get out of their way. That's my opinion. Okay, so that's it. Anyway, North Platte did the same thing, same dumb stuff. But anyway, we have looked at the North County Road, and we have tried to find ways to, because water has come over that road and gone on south, and so it's if that was ever developed, like the Kennedy property west of the park, if that was ever developed, we really have to be careful about how we handle that, cause we gotta make sure that water, if we have more hardened surfaces, gotta watch how much runoff we're gonna get to complicate what we already have, so that,
How much responsibility does a landowner have?
yeah, if that was developed like Dean did his side now, I think you'd have to insist on some kind of storm management system to hold the water
But
and
with
release
not
it
being
slowly.
developed and still being
Right.
farm ground,
Yeah.
they don't have any responsibility on holding their water?
Well, I'll refer to the attorney.
No, I mean, that's the basic answer on that, because they're not doing anything to cause water to move a specific way. So the land is the land, so there's really not any mitigation effort that would be required.
It's a good question, it's been asked.
I don't recall hearing any discussion about doing sidewalks or curbing or anything like that on the south side of North County Road. We've got a lot of city property between the asphalt and the property lines.
Mhm.
Maybe it's been discussed, but I don't recall hearing anything about it, and I'd like to be maybe brought up to date on that. I know we've got a mile of North County Road that we've wondered about, and it seems like all the discussion concentrates on the north side of the street.
Mhm.
And not that I wanna put everything on the south side of the street, but I think it ought to come into the discussion at least.
It has to be fair.
Yes, yeah, I agree. We need to discuss, bring it into the discussion.
Mhm. Yeah, and again, that's a priority that I can make recommendations, I can do cost estimates. Ultimately, this board here has to make that decision.
Right.
And with input from the community, sure, do that.
Would the board entertain a thought like that on getting estimates?
I mean, we could entertain estimates, the one thing to remember, we're, just like Tori brought up and Tom's mentioned, would we want to concentrate the $220,000 we get, our highway allocation money, to put sidewalks in and not fix roads or intersections? I guess that would be one thing to think of as well. Cause typically, I don't know it's ever been used for sidewalks, it was normally for the roads and the maintenance of the roads, is that correct?
That's correct, yeah.
So that might be a whole different animal in itself to go, other options for funding.
But you could do curb and not deal with sidewalks, let the property owners decide whether or not.
You could create a
you do
curb and gutter district,
curbing would
things
help
like that.
with
Yeah.
possible drainage movement, trying to guide the drainage water.
Absolutely.
No, all that takes a lot.
Takes money.
Takes a lot of money.
Oh, yeah, I understand.
Brenda?
Trina Secretary, 9824 First Street, Sutherland. Just read the CARC report for 23, 24, and 25, and saw that in our sales tax, we received over $900,000 in the 3 years, and over $600,000 of that went to the village for infrastructure. And I don't have those exact numbers, but it's in the official report. And so I was wondering is there a wisdom in using that, or a portion of that, or is that better left for sewer or something? I don't know what the village's plans are, but the money is there.
That account, I believe, we haven't used much out of the infrastructure account to date, is that correct, Bonnie?
Correct. I know a portion of that was set aside to do paving up by the park, and that area there will all be coming out of infrastructure. I believe did we use some of that for, I'd have to pull that report, and it won't let me log into QuickBooks here. The sidewalk, that was the word I was looking for, that thing you walk on. Was used for that. There hasn't been a whole lot. I know that there are several things that the board has brought up at past meetings that we've looked into. We could use infrastructure money for that, but wanted to finish up other projects before we started new ones with some planning for that infrastructure.
And it was even brought up using that infrastructure money for part of it out at the sewer lagoon.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Cory.
To address Mylan's concern as a previous institutional knowledge, we looked at this sidewalk situation on North County Road, on the south side, north side, you name it. Problem on the south side is because every one of those garages, except for the new one they just built, is 2-3 foot lower than that crown. You put a curb up there even to keep that out, they're gotta come up even more to go down. Then you'd have to put great drains and stuff in front of their driveways, which that, and taking it to the east, they run into the gas line. Previous board allowed the county road ditch to be filled in by the cemetery. There's a reservoir there, they filled that in, so there's no storage going east now. It runs onto the cemetery, onto Linden Street, down Hillview, my street, so that forced that water. It's gonna go somewhere. The water didn't go away. They just diverted that when they filled in those ditches.
I understand.
So, yeah, we looked at the way the curb and gutter coming off that North County Road, because you cannot have only so much grade on the sidewalk.
Yeah,
That's going to extend that crown, basically, out 4 feet, do we have for ADA, because you gotta do ADA, with the curb so that cars can't jump up onto the sidewalk. So now you might have 4 foot above that person's garage floor down at the bottom of that, and then you have such a short view, you couldn't get down into those garages. It's a nightmare, because a couple of those, the one house got jacked up and put a basement under it, and the garage was at ground level before the road. Yeah, so I mean, we looked at, I think our answer was we plowed a sidewalk through the cemetery to connect from Darwin Street. At least the kids, then that connects sidewalks basically. If they do a little backtracking, they can get to the school. It wasn't perfect, but I think that alone was $300 and some thousand back then. So I'm calling it $1 million to get you a sidewalk from Prairie Chase down to the school, and then there's a trailer house that sits up there that would be 4 foot below the curb.
Yeah, I'm not as worried about the
And
sidewalk
then,
as I am about the curb.
and we don't have enough ditch that the people that went over it, I mean, and you can't take the road down anymore because it's a dam.
yeah.
It was put in there like that for a reason. So, there's the institutional knowledge. We tried. There was not an answer short of like something is buy all those houses out and raise it up, but then you're still forcing that water somewhere else. I think the gas company wanted $50,000 to move their gas line for us because of that franchise agreement to get a culvert plowed over to Prairie Trace. Because we cut the road. We were ready to do it. I can take you right now and show you the 2 cut lines that have been crack sealed right there. I can show you right there, and we ran right into a gas line and talked about putting your heels in the dirt from that gas line. I was ready to someone. Those guys are horrible. And we're just sitting there holding the bag, so we were ready to go. We had the road cut. And then they said, nope, we want $50,000 from you guys before we can do that.
It was expensive.
Across our road.
Yeah.
Well, those engineers, they come up with a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
Well, wait a minute. Just because that was all engineering fees.
Casey.
But I've been talking to Tom, and we've been talking about, we're gonna walk the streets and see about armor coating, and we are crack sealing this year. I just got a bid in for it. It was too late to get it on the agenda, but crack sealing is in the plans, it's in the works. Like I said, I've been talking to Tom, we're planning on walking the streets and see which ones to see about armor coating.
Is there a best time of the year to do your armor coating, Tom?
Oh, any time between probably, when it's warm enough, it should be at least, I'd say 50 degrees, and then sometime when it hits 50 on the other end, So that's generally 1st of May, maybe to the 1st of October, middle October, something like that.
But then again, like Kim says, we need to start looking at the long-term goal and start milling some of these streets down and overlaying them and getting rid of the humps and the roughness.
Mm-hmm.
I know, we've always had a lot of talk on Walnut Street in the past 20 years. And maybe I've asked it before, but could that be overlaid?
Yeah,
Would that
you could
take care of
overlay
the
it.
problem, or would that still
You
have
might
to make
wanna,
a problem?
you might wanna mill it and then inlay the asphalt, That's certainly a possibility, but keep in mind, again, you're developing an asphalt street, which guess what? then you have to crack seal it, you have to armor coat it, you gotta, you know,
But anymore, asphalt and concrete is basically a wash on your cost, isn't
getting
it?
pretty close.
Really close to it.
Concrete.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's,
So you would,
Basically from Highway 30 all the way up to North County Road.
mill that
Walnut Street
concrete?
there.
you could, yeah, that's by the church. And
Yeah, with asphalt and concrete, same price, you can pull concrete back.
Asphalt, you got about a 20-year lifespan, concrete, you got about a 50 lifespan,
Yeah.
is that about right now?
Yeah, that's true.
Can you lay concrete over concrete on Walnut Street?
Well, then you get that reflective cracking back up again. on
Okay.
it, yeah.
And then your gutter comes in, then you're gonna have problems with your gutters.
Yeah,
Sure.
what gutters?
But the gutters that run down the side of Walnut, it runs all the water to my house, them gutters.
All that water goes into the nursing home, goes into
Yeah.
the school, goes into that, that's why, yeah,
yeah,
we've gotta do something with that water.
yeah.
Is there any other discussion or comments on our public hearing tonight on our 1 and 6 year road plan?
Hope you let Tom do a study on North County Road, so there's some numbers out there, and some options.
Okay, so actually, we need to do the resolution first.
Yeah, well, the public
Hearing
hearing
portion, okay.
portion, and then you go to the action portion.
Alright, so it is 7:03, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Moving on to action items. We have discussion and action on 1 and 6 year road plan, provided with resolution 2026-0204. That is the last page of that, on that, in the packet. I guess I entertain a motion to approve resolution 2026-0204. Motion Patrick,
Second.
second Becker.
Scott Meyer,
Yes.
Kim Becker,
Yes.
Derek Dempsey,
Yes.
Justin Gnomes,
Yes.
Felicia Patrick. Motion carries.
All right. Moves back to new business, the compost site electrical and shelter discussion. I guess, we want to talk about the shelter, and then we can discuss the electrical as well. We have that old shed that was moved up there. I don't know if we'd be better off to fix that up and revamp it, or if we're gonna have as much money into doing something different, or is there other options, Casey?
That shed, we're gonna have a ton of money into it, we're still gonna have an old shed. I think the better option would be looking at like a container and going in and putting a wall in there with a window and a door, an air conditioner just inside the swing out doors. That way when nobody's in it, you can shut the doors, lock it, and it's pretty much, you'd have to work to get into it. We do have a roll-off, or we do have a container sitting there at the ball field that they put their dirt in that just kinda goes to waste. Or we can look at purchasing one, it's just whatever the board wants to do.
So we could repurpose that container that's down there, cause it's empty now, up to the dump hill to make the shelter up there. Or options were to, purchase another container just for that purpose.
Or fix that
Or
over.
fix that other shed.
I'm surprised that shed made it up the hill.
So am I.
It looks a bit rough.
It was scary.
But they use that container to do it.
They have, but it's kind of a, $5,000 container to store dirt in. We could get the cement bunkers to put it in, then it could be loaded and unloaded much easier. Or your carport for just the dirt, I guess, but they have stored dirt in it.
Did we figure out who paid for that container for sure? Whether the youth Ford paid for it, or did the village pay for it? That's my worry.
I've always heard the village purchased that container because there have been questions before and it was always noted that it was the village's container.
Yeah, I'm just,
But yeah, that's everything I've ever heard, that the village purchased that container.
Okay, so here's my next question with the container. But when we were talking containers, and I know Jordan's feelings on containers, it came up that, well, the village owns a container that sits at the ball field that doesn't meet the requirements of what a container should be put on. So if we move the container up there, which is, to me, is a great idea, what are you putting it on footings? How are you putting it?
You would have to go on a cement pad or footings.
Okay, so when I talked to Morris McConnell about putting, he said that this was his words, putting a container on a full cement pad is a waste of money. Because the container, the way containers are built, just putting footings on the corner or cement pads on the corner, to pour a whole cement pad, he said, is an absolute waste of money the way it hangs. Because a container, once it's full, it's not going to go anywhere.
And I fully get that. The one thing, I sat in on a planning and zoning meeting when they set these container regulations. They set the regulations, you could have a footing that was a certain dimension to set it on, just around the outside, or to set on, or a cement pad. It's the same amount of cubic yards of cement regardless which way you go with the specifications they put on.
But those can always be changed.
Planning and zoning can change those.
Correct, right.
I think, I don't mind doing something up there, but I think we need to get with the youth board and make sure who purchased the container. I'm sorry, but
Tori, do you have any insight on that?
I would not swear under oath, but I was close to that. I'd swear we bought that, put that there, for them, because it was back when they used to get red, Diamond Pro?
yeah,
Pro out of Oklahoma.
they put in
The
it.
freight costs more to get here than the dirt, but anyway, that's where they put to, when they really maintained those real well, they needed a place to put it because it just gets weathered. And that was long before there was any planning and zoning regulations on containers, because nobody was putting containers in their front yards or their backyards illegal, whatever. That's a whole different thing. It was grandfathered in, so it's perfectly legal how it's sitting there, same thing as if it was, but that was long before, like I say, people were sliding them in the front yards and leaving them. That's why that planning and zoning. That being said, I'm 99% sure that we bought that. I remember talking to Morris myself about it, so I can't believe I would have talked to Morris for the youth committee. And since it's village owned, there was kind of a little spat over there too about locking the doors. We had a power hungry youth director that locked us out of there one time and this, so it's all kind of the big picture. I actually told the superintendent after we left the meeting to go pick cut the locks so that we got it taken care of. That's why that went there. It was, cause always could be moved if needed, if they didn't want it, but that's why it was there. You might also check into, Morris has some of those that already have a window and a door cut into them, and an air conditioner already pre-packaged into it. So by the time you hire Scotty's to come cut it, leak-proof it, and you gotta be careful, because the rodeo committee is doing that up on the stilts. They have to frame up the inside with pressure-treated lumber if it touches the sides, because it sweats so bad, and then they're gonna spray foam it. And they're gonna have a fortune in that. So you guys, an air conditioner, cut in that container up there,
13,000.
Taking that container, cutting an air conditioner doors in that, an air conditioner would not keep up on the 4th of July to keep the person cool in there. It'd be an oven. I've been in containers. My dad has them out there. So you might consider one of those that's already pre-built if you're gonna go that way, because an air conditioner's not gonna keep up with that one there. So, but it's an option if you own it. Maybe it doesn't need to be there. Great thinking, but it's painful.
The container talk, I don't know how feasible it would be, but I know I've seen them on government auctions, the military mill vans is what we call them, but it is basically like a miniature workshop. It's got lights, air conditioning, heating, desks on one side, you get with windows, without windows, with a pop-up, with an awning, and I've seen them go for like $5,000.
And a Marshall every once in a while will have them on
Mhm.
their sale, so
I don't know how easy it would be to get it here.
Not hard.
it wouldn't,
I mean,
it wouldn't be hard,
If
no.
you're going to like Fort Riley to get it,
Well,
that's not terribly far.
just,
How about Carson?
Probably could talk to Morrison into going and get it.
yeah,
without costing
cause
too
Morris
much.
goes all over the country getting them, so.
He's got one sitting out there right now, the same thing what you're talking about, it's a portable office.
Yeah.
That'd be in their ground.
Yeah, I think it was
I don't know how much
12.5.
Yeah, I think around maybe 12 to 13,000 for that one is what it was. The regular container's right around the $5,000 range that's not finished and ready to go.
And that one out there that he's got, it's been spray foam, walls put up. Like I said, you open the swing out doors, there's a wall there with a door, a window, and an air conditioner in it. It's got electrical already in it, ready to go.
And we put this on hold until we get some better numbers on the differences and,
I think, is the board good with that? Do some more research on this?
because then I think on the location of where it would sit and stuff like that too, because the location where it's gonna sit is gonna contribute to the factor of the electrical.
Yeah, I'll work with
Let's say
Casey,
so.
have Casey get a hold of me and I'll go up there and we'll look at every option electrically. I'll give you an honest opinion, cause I, like I say, even if I don't get to do the work and NPD runs it, I don't care, I'm looking out for the taxpayer here as an old board member, whatever's best, but just especially don't let those guys get into your overhead lines, whatever you do, so.
Thank you, Cory.
Thanks, Tori.
Thanks.
Table this for next round? Okay. Dedication of Anchor Park Memorial.
Okay, I put this on there because Casey is pretty much, we've got the flags up, everything up, and I truly think we need to have a dedication of the Anchor Memorial Park as soon as we could. Could we possibly turn it over to the Legion and let them handle that?
I would say no to that. I mean, they just went through, well, I don't know, I guess you can ask Jeremy's in charge now, so.
Well,
We'd ask Jeremy.
Because I think we would need to involve them
For sure.
in the dedication. And that's why if, I mean, I'm not even gonna stand up there and do a speech.
I could ask Jeremy next Tuesday.
If you, I mean, I think they would be more appropriate to do it than us. Yes, we put the money into it. Yes, Jean and Linda put a lot of time and effort into it. But I do think we need to move forward with the dedication of it.
So we can do some research on that and touch base next round.
Thank you, Alicia.
Sprinklers at Pool Park.
Yeah, since we have the two lots up there and we have to maintain them all the time, I think we need to put sprinklers in so we can grow some grass instead of weeds.
Okay. So this was to do those two entire lots
Yes,
that are basically lotted into one, that new area we purchased and fenced in?
yes.
Okay.
I do think we need some sprinklers up there, but what I'm worried about is planning sprinklers and then somebody deciding to move it.
I was thinking the exact same
Do
thing.
something else with it?
Exact same thing.
So,
That's also not, I mean, that's a board decision to
Yeah.
let anybody do anything else with that.
yeah, but what I'm wondering is if we could sprinkler the outside edges with that, Casey, with some end guns that
I
are
think
pretty
a
good.
sprinkler design was gonna be pretty simple. There was gonna be a whole lot of sprinklers. It's gonna be on the outside and I think right down the middle. if I
That's
remember
what I was hoping for, is something that would be,
right. It's gonna be inch and a half line running. It's gonna be a big line, so there's not gonna be a sprinkler every
okay,
6 foot.
that's what I was worried about.
It's gonna be about like Anchor Park up there.
Well, I don't visit Anchor Park when the sprinklers are on.
And I don't know if anybody's priced buying garden hoses in the last year or 2 years, but garden hoses are about 4 times the price per foot as it is for buried sprinkler pipe.
And we don't have the best of luck with garden hoses, I'll tell you that right now.
Trust me, I don't like my garden.
So could you anticipate, could you anticipate the people that would quite possibly want to
thing about it is if we do like Casey said, and that's what I was wondering, if we just do the outside area and shoot some pretty heavy handguns in there and stuff, or what, and then one possibly breaks down the middle, that would be able to be sectioned off later to where it's not a waste of running pipe.
You know, the one thing with that, I don't want to tell a sprinkler system designer how to design a sprinkler system. We wanna pay to have this entire thing sprinkled, so we don't have weeds and stickers, we wanna have a nice park area. If somebody decided down the road that they wanted to raise money to have something different there, then that's a hurdle that board at that
Well,
time would have to cross.
we would do just like we did at Anchor Park,
We might have to
move
move
them.
things.
Well, that's kinda what I was hoping to go again,
Well,
where we don't have to do that issue again.
Myron?
Yeah, all we have to do is just isolate that, any of the interior lines, isolate them so that they can eventually be shut off, disconnected, whatever. And you got all that open area in the center to redesign for whatever you wanna design for.
Yeah, so we don't know when or how long it could be before something went up there.
So we're just looking for a motion to let, Casey move forward with getting some ideas on sprinklers.
yeah, there's a bid on there for sprinklers.
So the bid you have, they do a lot of sprinkler work for us currently, reputable company,
Yes,
no issues,
no issues.
good service.
Better than the last outfit we had. I'll leave it there.
So their estimate is $13,880 to do that sprinkler system.
Is there any detail on what exactly that entails?
They will be coming off the pool, there's on the south side of the boiler room at the pool, there's a manhole there. It will tie into there, they'll run straight east to the lots and then start the sprinklers there. The controller will be in the boiler room there.
So the only thing this bid doesn't include is that backflow hookup.
Yes, and this board doesn't require backflow on sprinklers. North Platte does, but we don't.
How much would a backflow cost for something like that, rough idea, Casey?
$350, $400 probably.
So that's something, if the board decided to invest interest of water safety, we could put our own backflow on there.
Yes.
I guess is there any other discussion on this? Entertain a motion.
Where do you want this to come from?
That is a good question. Where would the board like, if this is approved, where would they like these funds to come from? Is this
What we got left in,
part of infrastructure, is this
It's improving the park.
improving the park, so that could be infrastructure money?
I don't see a problem with that.
So that could be the infrastructure money if we wanted to, it could come out of Keno as well.
money is kind of,
We have a lot of Keno tied up with finishing the park deal up, but that's gonna be done here before too long.
I think infrastructure's be fine.
I'll make a motion to approve the bid for $13,880 out of infrastructure funds for new sprinklers.
Okay, motion, Patrick.
Second.
Second, Justin Knobs.
Scott Meyer,
Yes.
Kim Backer,
yes.
Derek Dempsey,
Yes.
Justin Gnomes,
Yes.
Felicia Patrick.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Ball field improvements, discussion and action. I was called by Brad Benson, who's on the youth board, about the concession stand up there. We just resheeted and re-steeled the outside, got it all rebuilt. They asked about possibly insulating and putting, not drywall up, but like your plywood or OSB sheeting around the inside to try to keep the heat up in the attic, make it more comfortable when they're in there. It's hot while they're using it. I did ask them You know, would they be interested if the village purchased the materials, would they wanna put it all in? And they said they had absolutely no problem with that. So we wouldn't have to have, it would be almost a joint project. I rough priced materials on it, and it would be less than $2,000 for the insulation and the sheeting. Then basically would have an entire new, fully revamped ball field concession stand. I think if we hired a contractor to go in and do all the work and provide materials, we'd probably touch the $5,000 to $7,000 range. Would be my guess, but I told them I would bring it across the board's table to see if we'd be interested in purchasing materials and let them finish the ball field concession stand.
Absolutely. If you've ever worked it, absolutely.
It was hot last year.
Yeah.
Those new windows in it makes it really.
I went up there, Casey or Cody unlocked it, there'd be room to get insulation up in the attic and then sheet underneath to hold that. There's already an attic fan up there to help pull the heat out. Then same thing with all your walls around it, so it would be insulated. When I got rough prices on it, I priced R13 insulation. I mean, there's not a lot of attic space up there to get blow-in or anything, have someone working up there, so.
I just did the installation.
Think it would help.
Yeah.
So, but I think that'd be a good starting point to try to keep it a little better in there for them.
And I did talk to Gary, if they need something moved, stuff on electrical, but
We can jockey the electrical if we
Yes.
need to, for an outlet or a light or
Yes.
something like that.
so.
So you're saying about 3,000?
I think definitely under 3,000. My estimate on materials was around 1,400, and that was with screws included. Yeah, so I would rough figure 2,000. I don't know that it would go over that. I guess we could put a cap on it different if a board member wanted to make that motion.
I know the youth board's very eager to do it, though. They brought it up at the meeting.
They're pretty excited that we're even gonna discuss it, so.
Motion to approve up to 2,500 for, concessions and improvements. Paid out of Keno fund.
That's fine. That's your motion? So you have a motion, Backer?
Second?
Second, Patrick?
Felicia Patrick,
Yes.
Derek Dempsey,
Yes.
Kim Backer,
Yes.
Scott Meyer,
Yes.
Justin Nums.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Very good, thank you. Porta potty rental discussion in action. Casey?
It's porta potty season. In front of you are two bids. We have a new competitor in town now, so. He's from Ogallala too, but he wanted to put a bid in, so.
In full disclosure, I did set up the company for them, but he bought part of Scotty's bodies and spouse septic, and he was
One is called Pit Stop Potties, he's at 3,800, and the other one is Superior Sanitation, they're at 4,800. It's both for rate potties, if I remember right. With once a week clean.
Question. You have the same number of potties, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 9. 9 versus 8 is, maybe I'm not reading that right, let me get my glasses on.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 and 8.
Okay, sorry.
So we are comparing apples to apples on our numbers of
Yes.
porta potties.
And to be fair with this, you did have some issues last year with.
We had issues up on the hill, and I think it might have got cleaned once all summer. And we'd call and there'd be either they lost the key or they forgot.
Make a motion to approve Pit Stop potties for 3,800.
Motion Backer.
Second.
Second, Nels.
Justin Nums,
Yes.
Felicia Patrick,
Yes.
Derek Dempsey,
Yes.
Kim Backer, Scott Meyer.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Park fertilizer contract discussion and action, Casey.
Yes, you see in front of you, there's 4 bids for fertilizer this year. There's a new one, and Wallace is one that put his bid in. And then there's, Jorgensen's out of Earthsea, Mopar out of Paxton, and then True Green out of North Platte.
And page 30 does have a semblance of a spreadsheet. I don't know what some of this means, so I just guessed and put it in there the way it made sense. The bids were not all laid out with the same, so I just had to kind of read into it. So if I got it wrong, I apologize.
Some of them are a 4-step program, some of them are a 5-step program.
Who did you use, who have you used previously?
Last year was, True Green. Before that, it was Mopar.
Guess, looking at this, the one thing I do see, Power does not list any grub control. And I know 2 years ago, that was a major problem. We spent a lot of extra money to have grub control done.
What's vegetation control consist of, for True Green?
What's that?
So it has vegetation.
Ground sterile.
That's sterile for, the warning track around the bleachers at the ball field.
Okay, gotcha, okay.
And this gentleman here is from Mopar, if you got questions for him. His name is Joel. So pretty much all the bids has got, in there for sterilant around the bleachers, the warning track, the ball field.
True Green's got sales tax on there.
Just to clarify, our program does, drug control is included, we don't have it separated as a line item, but it is included in there.
Okay.
So I don't know if that makes any difference.
But if it doesn't work, we have to pay for the chemical and application.
Correct.
Casey, your dealings, what's your opinion?
You know, last year, I guess, I've got a lot of compliments, that's probably the best the Parks has ever looked. And I really didn't have any issues with True Green. I guess, you know, Mopar, I was happy with them, I guess the only issue I had with them is that they had the issues with the grubs. Kalon, or Jorgensen's, they're out of the picture, cause they're just sky high. And the one in Wallace, I know nothing about them, so I can't give you a recommendation either way on them.
And this is for pool, baseball fields, Anchor Park, and Railroad Park?
No railroad park, just Anchor Park, pool, ball field.
So yeah, looking at that tabulation sheet, the 2 separates are, they're the first 2 lines, the $79.91 and 27 cents. Right across from that's $53.47 and 96 cents would be added together for their total estimate. That's why it looks so different.
Yeah,
It's separate.
yeah, so do we pay tax on this or not?
No.
So we need to take out the tax bit, which isn't a lot, but I was just making sure.
Casey, if you got a recommendation at this point,
I was happy with True Green. I just don't wanna get into the thing of flip-flopping back and forth, cause then I just know we'll run into problems doing that, so we need to just pick one company and hopefully stick with it.
my issue is with the grubs this year. I mean, I got grubs already.
Yeah.
I got critters crawling through my backyard, through my front yard. And you're saying, excuse me, sir, you're saying that yours includes the grub control, but you don't guarantee it.
Correct.
So, and Mopar last year came back on a second, and
He's
not,
Mopar.
True Green
True Green.
came back last year on a second round with grub control.
We didn't have issues with grub control last year, but
The year
that's
before.
because we sprayed that fall
We sprayed ourselves
ourselves.
We sprayed ourselves.
before True Green took over.
Yes.
I do agree with Casey in the fact that I think when she finds, honestly, someone who fertilizes and knows your yard and what's going on, it's worth $1 million.
And True Green did say if we had issues, they would come back and spray it for grubs.
Is it for grubs in the spring?
No, they're
Anytime?
kind of around July, August.
So I guess we have 3 bids in front of us. If you want to move forward with this, I would entertain a motion. If you would just select which provider you would like to use in the motion.
Casey's recommendation, I'd like to go with True Green with the 2 programs for a total of approximately $13,300. That's an approximate, again, with the dollar figure on that,
No, you're basically accepting their two bids.
they're 2 bids.
So motion Backer, second Dempsey.
Kim Backer,
Yes.
Justin Nelms,
Yes.
Scott Meyer,
Yes.
Derek Dempsey,
Yes.
Alicia Patrick,
Yes.
motion carries.
Good. Liquor license amendment for Fast Stop 115 Bunny, adding new manager Vicky Michael.
And this is just, it didn't have to be a public hearing, it's just changing the manager's name. It's more for the board to approve, or, I mean, we can deny, we can approve it, or we can send it back with no recommendation and let the state decide. They didn't give me a whole lot of, this was all the information they gave me, was just this.
I deal with this in multiple places, especially at the county level, you have no idea who these people are. I mean, if you have a strong opinion one way or another,
I've got an opinion on it. Their previous manager was fired like 6 months ago, and they're just now bringing this to us.
They,
So,
but I don't know, so if you normally, if you don't know anything about them,
Yeah.
there's no recommendation.
No recommendation if you know nothing about it.
yeah, they, and I know typically when we get an application for a liquor license, the ones I've seen anyway, there's a whole, 6 or 8 pages that the manager fills out with as far as, I mean, all kinds of information. This was all that I was sent. It's like this 3 pages, 2 pages.
So basically, this is just to inform us if they've got a new manager, that should have happened 6 months ago.
Technically, you send a recommendation or not, but I mean, it's a squirrely system that they adopted a few years ago.
And a lot of it's electronic now, so it's changed the rules of the way we see it.
So the best thing for us to do would just pass this on to the liquor commission with no recommendation.
My guidance has been, if you don't have a reason, yes or no, then there's really no reason to make the recommendation.
so don't do nothing.
And then it's up to liquor commission will do whatever they do.
So what can we do with that? Do we just move forward?
So you could entertain a motion to make no recommendation as to the manager change of name.
Basically, we just sign off on it and it goes to the Liquor Control Commission and they do whatever they do and authorize it or don't allow it.
Yeah, there's,
If we were neutral, forwarding is all we're doing.
yeah,
I
and
would do that. I'll make that motion to do a neutral forwarding with no recommendation.
Okay, motion back.
Second.
Second, Justin Mills.
okay, Derek Dempsey,
Yes.
Scott Meyer,
Yes.
Justin Gnomes,
Yes.
Lucia Patrick,
Yes.
Kim Backer.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Rooster Sanitation Contract for Service. Mr. Roundtree.
Thank you. In front of you, I have put a draft agreement for solid waste collection, really spelling out the terms that have generally been agreed upon, but also some additional things just to clarify how this will all work. This is in front of Rooster. I believe it's been sent over so they can
Yes.
also review it. I do have some liquidated damage language in there, which has historically been in there too, because how difficult it is to deal with damages in a very unique sort of situation. The only other thing, and I did not mention this to Bonnie, the insurance requirements, I did not change them from the last contract. But what Rooster sent over would not actually meet the insurance requirements. Their current policy would not quite make it. But the one in front of you is historically been what the village has required for a contract.
And is that the insurance requirement that was sent out on the bid as well as our requirements?
Correct, so the one that they sent to us would not meet the $5 million.
So they would have to revamp their insurance?
They would.
Are they aware of that one?
I was not aware of that.
No, I didn't cover it. Okay.
Sorry.
I will give them a call tomorrow though, and I know Courtney said that she and Peyton would be looking it over, to see if there was anything they need clarification on or any terms that they would like adjusted.
What was their insurance? Do you remember what their?
I think it didn't exceed $2 million, the way it was kind of structured. It didn't hit our fund.
But they have I mean, that was all part of the bid. That's their responsibility. I don't think we wanna lower our insurance requirements
No.
for somebody, and I think that's asking for trouble.
No.
And basically with this, even though they're reviewing it themselves, we can go ahead, if we chose to as a board, pass, sign, date, stamp this, and then if they have questions or concerns on it, they can
Yeah,
contact us.
we can revisit this, if we had to do it at a special or something.
Yeah,
When we
addendum or
got to
something.
an impasse, or addendum to the contract. But I guess any questions that you have about the language, I'd be happy to.
So we can move forward with this and just upon agreement of this contract,
Basically,
authorize the chair to sign.
well, you can authorize the chair to sign right now. And if they have an issue, they would just not sign, and then we would have to figure it out.
Make a motion to accept the contract with Rooster Sanitation and authorize the chair to sign.
Motion back. Second, Patrick. Bonnie, Patrick had a motion to approve, Rooster's contract, and Patrick had a second.
Scott Meyer,
Yes.
Kim Backer,
Yes.
Derek Dempsey,
Yes.
Justin Gnomes,
Yes.
Lucia Patrick. Motion carries.
All right, special assessment, 220 Spruce, resolution 2026-0205.
So what is in front of you is the third and final special assessment that we have not dealt with. We dealt with the other two previously. At this point, I guess if you have any questions, if not, we'll adopt the resolution, and I'll get the special assessment report in. Me, I was nice comments.
I'll make a
Two
motion
times
to
two,
adopt
that's spread,
resolution
right?
2026
Is building that down, isn't it?
Motion, Patrick, to adopt resolution 2026-0205.
Second.
Second, Patrick.
Felicia Patrick,
Yes.
Derek Dempsey,
Yes.
Kim Backer,
Yes.
Scott Meyer,
Yes.
Justin Gnomes,
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, claims are presented.
It's a very short list this time.
Is there any additions or corrections to claims?
The claims for Casey and for Cody are travel expenses for planning and zoning conference and for the water conference.
Thank you for explanation.
I've got out of the planning and zoning.
So if there's no questions or additions, we entertain a motion.
Oh, actually, real quick, Scott, I forgot. Cody asked me to let you know she received a scholarship for the water conference. So we are paying upfront for her travel expenses, and then they are reimbursing the village for all her travel expenses. So that will be coming back in.
Very good.
I almost forgot.
Motion Patrick, second Justin Mills.
Justin Nelms,
Yes.
Felicia Patrick,
Yes.
Derek Dempsey,
Yes.
Kim Becker,
Yes.
Scott Meyer.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Payroll report is provided.
In the other room, yeah.
Comp sick vacation report as well.
I do not have balance of accounts in there. While they were making a couple of the little adjustments that need to be done for the audit, it unreconciled everything, put it back to December. So I get to do those again. I've started, I have not finished January's yet, but I'm almost caught up. So I will have that at the next meeting.
OT zone.
So, can I ask about?
Yeah, Coach Patrick,
overtime?
Felicia.
Overtime code?
Okay, yep, no problem. Go ahead, ask a question, please.
Was that during the snow, Casey, like your overtime?
Well, overtime is be board meetings and rounds. Wasn't no overtime on snow, but we do rounds on the weekend, so there's 2 hours, the board meeting. And then when we get called in, I don't know, would they have 3 hours, 4 hours?
4.25.
But Charles had 2 hours?
That'd be on the weekend.
Okay.
Sure.
Every one employee does rounds every weekend. It's a minimum of 2 hours paid. Is that right?
Hour, so,
An hour a day.
yeah.
So 2 hours
Okay.
overtime
We
per
do,
weekend.
we do rounds 365 days a year.
Okay, I just didn't
Yeah.
know, so, okay, good to know. Thanks.
All right, any FYI information?
I think I've covered all mine.
Reports, Casey.
Yeah, the tree pile up on the hill's been burnt. That was kind of an interesting deal. I got calls from all over the country, wanna know why I was burning and how I was burning, because everybody else couldn't burn because it's too cold out.
Unfortunately, we got that burnt when
We
we did.
burned out the golf course.
Yes, I heard that. What you see, my flames you guys lit. Anyway, I just got a call here a little while ago. He's gonna show up tomorrow, start hauling the compost off. So if he gets that hauled off, it'll be fairly clean. Like Tom said, the sewer lagoon is supposed to start Monday. They got a lot of equipment there, so I don't see that dragging out very long if it stays dry. We started on the alleys today, grading them, getting bottom ash and gravel down. I'm on material, so I'm waiting for more material to show back up so we can finish them up. And the thank you plaque for the Veterans Memorial that's sitting on the wall in here for, I don't know how long, it's finally up and in place.
Question on the compost up at the hill, that pile of the tree grindings that they did.
Yeah.
mulch. Would that be beneficial to get rid of a portion of that pile or not? Would they take it?
Yeah, he'd take it, but it's another year or so, it's just gonna be good black mulch, dirt.
Okay, that's,
But if you guys want it gone, he'll haul it
I
off.
don't know, I was just thinking if he's gonna
It's
take,
sat there for a lot of years.
Okay.
I mean, it'd be a good black dirt, yeah, but there's also a pile of good black dirt behind it,
Well,
right? I don't know, just something to think about, to get rid of if you,
some people do get the mulch out of it, but it's not like it used to be
it's not
years
good
past.
mulch anymore, so, I don't know.
Okay, if he wants it, it'd be gone.
The board good with that?
If you guys want it, you can help sell it.
I have not heard anything back on a date for the audit yet. Did reach out to see if we could get a letter of engagement. Have not heard back yet. I know they're awful busy. Tiffany was gonna reach out to and see if she could get those. Other than that, we've just been redoing some of the filing system in the office, getting things a little more organized. Had a little over $800,000 deposit into the sewer account today because the bond has closed. So that money is in there whenever we need to start paying bills. I did put the bond schedule for the preliminary note is under tab 10 in each of your binders on when that comes due, and then we will have to set up a time to start discussing how long the board would like the actual bond to be drawn out, and other than that, that's about it for us.
And we basically authorized last time to open up a new account for the sewer expansion.
Yep, now that I have those
Now that
minutes
the minutes
approved,
you can go with that.
Adams Bank and Trust has it pretty much set up. They just needed the copy of those minutes, and then they will transfer that amount that came in today over. So that was a fun call. Is there $800,000 in your account? And I was like, first of all, who is this?
Kim. Derek. Justin. Alicia.
I went to the chamber meeting.
Okay.
So, that was, they talked about the, 4th of July. Talked about the parade and using Anchor Park, but I'm not sure if that will pan out. I think the biggest thing for me at the chamber meeting was, a little bit of the misdirection on the store shelter. You know, how that was worded, because Muriel had said that it was a tornado shelter, and she had said that it would be heated and stuff like that. I think we have to like really make sure that it's, just because that gets out to the public as well. And I think we have to make sure
I
that
did
that's.
reach out to Muriel on that, and she didn't have a problem changing the name to
So, yeah,
Storm
there you
Shelter.
go. So, just things like that, like to really make sure that it's the same message that we're sending, that they're sending.
And she said when she gets back, I think around the 9th, that she'd come over, get with me, and we'd sit down and
Yeah,
start.
so that's good, but otherwise, I think, what else?
Who's doing the Facebook account? Cause some of the AI pictures, or how
Yeah.
they're doing it, is truly not depicting the pictures of the building, and it's like, so when you go to try to find something, it doesn't look like what's on the picture. I love them, some of them look really nice, but some of them are like, where is that?
Is that something like that we can ask her about Trenda at the chamber meeting, or?
Yes, I only do real photographs.
Thank you.
I'm not the one doing drawings and lookalikes and whatnot, and it's, to my knowledge, it's only Muriel and I doing it. There may be another person involved that I'm unaware of. So, but I would say that it was also fun to help the Anchor Club. That was neat. They got,
Right, and I haven't gotten there yet.
Sorry,
but she was
I'll-
asking about one thing, and so like, I mean, if that's something maybe we could ask Muriel about, right, and see what she.
Chamber discussion? Okay.
Yeah, and then like Linda was gonna tell you about the, chamber gave $5,000 to the Anchor Club for the Easter egg hunt, because the ladies actually are, debating whether or not to have it anymore, and wanting somebody to take over, so, that was a nice gift. But, yeah, that's my chamber message? Was that about it, you think?
I didn't mean to misdirect you, but it
No,
was
that's
like,
okay, that's
but
okay.
I gotta, I mean, the chamber is popping up on my news feed every day.
Yep.
And it's really nice.
Yep.
So, that's a good thing. But it was like when the library came up there, it's like, where is this at?
Right,
So,
right,
yeah.
yeah, I agree. I think that's about it really, right? That was discussed at the chamber?
Yeah, what was going on with Anchor Club is that there's 6 mommies with kids trying to do what used to be 20, 30 people did. And they're needing volunteers. I mean, I'm going back to the old days when Anchor Club was a big club and lots of families came together. And so the appeal was either, you know, we need some help, we need some volunteers. They were wanting $500, but Myron McCune got involved in it and said, you know what, let's give them a real amount of money that'll help them. Not just this year to limp along, but let's, you know, so 5,000. And, you know, last year, 5,000 went to the weight room. So I think that, you know, we may be setting a precedent that 5,000 would go to something like that, but, you know, it's a very good thing. Their scholarship money has all gotten up to $1,000 instead of those old numbers, and the technical, money going out for somebody that's gonna be an electrician or a mechanic or something, that's been added, which is really nice. The chamber is wanting to be involved in things, but the chamber is also sucking wind on involvement. I mean, I'm using that term, don't put that in minutes, but, you know, anyway, just trying to get people
No, I want to.
When you put something in the paper.
Well, so trying to get people to help out, and it's hard because everybody's so doggone busy. You know, everybody cares, but everybody's busy. So that's my 2 cents on that.
All right. Is there any comment from the audience?
Did you have a report, Scott?
Would be me.
I forgot one. No, I haven't.
That would be me.
I have no report. Any comment from the audience?
Bathroom up there, kind of a preliminary.
All right. Having satisfied all items on the agenda and with no further comments from the audience or the board, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
To adjourn.
Motion, Derek Dempsey. Second, Justin Nelms.
Kim Becker,
Yes.
Justin Nelms,
Yes.
Scott Meyer,
Yes.
Derek Dempsey,
Yes.
Felicia Patrick.
Yes.
I had
Motion
7:45
carries.
right there.
I figured 8 o'clock, so.
Pretty hard over here.
Well, we went 180 minutes that I recorded, there was some of it I didn't record, so.
Did you have a runner out for you making the last comment?